Hey there, Walt here from WaltInPA, and today I want to talk about my Motovlog setup. It's a video that has been done and done and done over again to death across YouTube. So for the longest time, I really didn't think I had anything to add to the space. But I've received a number of requests to go through my Motovlog setup, so I thought I would oblige and put something together for you. So here goes. So in order to understand my selections for my Motovlog setup, I think it's important to understand where I started. So a couple of years ago, I decided that I wanted to get back into riding after more than a decade of being away from motorcycles. And when I decided to do that, I started poking around on YouTube and I discovered channels like Shade Tree Surgeon, Bikes and Beards, Blockhead, and I thought that this whole motovlogging thing was really interesting. So before I even purchased my bike, I was already on the lookout for ways that I could get involved. It seemed like something that was very appealing to me. And I had a very strict budget in mind. I knew what I had to spend on my motorcycle, plus I had to buy all of my gear because I'm an all the gear type rider. And ultimately, that meant that I was looking for a helmet with kind of specific features. I wanted something that was kind of sort of quiet. I wanted something with a drop-down visor. I wanted something that was budget friendly and a good solid value. And a distant fourth, I wanted something that would allow me to motovlog without much trouble. And what I wound up selecting was this. This is the HJC F70 helmet. It's got a drop-down visor. It's got a very budget conscious price point. I believe this was like $300 and something. And it had an unexpected feature that wound up being very useful in the motovlogging space. So the HJC F70 series helmet is designed to use HJC's Smart HJC technology. And what that means is this helmet was engineered to use accessories, effectively the HJC Bluetooth communication system, which is a rebranded Sena. And how it works is there's a little cap on the back where you unscrew, take this off, and then you put, I believe it's the battery pack of the HJC, the Smart HJC unit in there, screw it back on, and then when you pull the cheek pads off, there is wirement management slots cut into the foam of the helmet. So there's one track that runs to the left ear, and there's a pocket for a speaker. And then there's one that runs to the right ear, again, another pocket so that a speaker clips in. And then there's another wire track that runs to the front of the helmet, right behind the chin bar, which houses just a little cutout for a button microphone. And I thought, if I can use all of these wire management systems to plumb in, for lack of a better term, my Motovlog setup, that should make life so much easier. So what I wound up doing was I went out and I bought my very first camera. I ordered a DJI Osmo Action and a purple Panda microphone. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the DJI Osmo Action camera, I'm actually recording this video using one, and this is my second one. This has a replacement lens, that's why it's kind of gold. Now, when I decided to go with this camera, it was mostly because I wanted to root for the underdog. I was trying to buck the GoPro trend, and the biggest selling point for me was this little guy right here on the end of the camera. This is the microphone adapter. So instead of wiring in this big expensive brick from GoPro, all I had to do was spend 20 bucks on this little accessory, plug it into the USB slot, and then wire in my 3.5 millimeter audio jack in the back. And when the Osmo cage is around this thing, everything kind of fits real nice and tidy. So I bought this camera, I got it set up, and I wired in my Purple Panda microphone. I used the wire management slots cut into the helmet to route my wires, and then I placed my Purple Panda microphone right inside the chin bar where there is a cutout for the microphone. And I was off to the races. I hopped on my bike and I very excitedly recorded my very first motovlog. And when I got home, I was thrilled with the quality of the video, but I was dismayed by the terrible, terrible audio. And it took a few times and some research to realize what was going on, but the bane of my existence was this little guy that sold me so well on the camera. It's super hot. So what happens is it takes the line in from the microphone and it shoves it directly into the camera, and it doesn't care what the audio levels are. And what happens is the camera receives that audio, and it's just clipping, non-stop clipping. Anytime your voice raises over a whisper, the audio would clip. And it has a lot to do with the fact that you're using a lapel microphone directly in front of your face, and there's no way to turn down the input level with firmware in the camera. Now, people that use the Osmo Action have since discovered that you can use COS, I believe it's a headphone volume adjuster that they wire in to work for a microphone, and they can control the input level there, or what's the word I'm looking for? The input level. We'll just go with that to keep things simple. So after some frustrations with the Osmo Action and the Purple Panda, I tried to do a workaround. So I pulled the microphone back out of my helmet, and I popped on the little foam sleeve that comes with the Purple Panda, put it back in the helmet, and went out and I did some more testing. When I got home, I still had plenty of audio issues and lots of clipping. So I pulled the microphone back out. I took a dead cat and put it over top of the foam cap in hopes that 2 layers of sound deadening material would deaden the sound and would pull the clipping issue down. I went out and I did some more testing. I came home, still issues. I wound up pulling the microphone out. I moved the microphone back and toward the cheek pad to try to get it away from directly in front of my face, and still issues. So out of frustration, I ended up putting the microphone back where it was, right behind the chin bar, because the dead cat was kind of tickling my jaw every time I talked. And then I went out and I purchased a GoPro Hero 8 Black. Now this is effectively my handlebar camera now. It used to be on my helmet, and I have a media mod for it that wraps around the camera. It does away with the microphone adapter, and it has a 3.5 millimeter mic jack to the back. So you put the media mod on, you plug in your mic, and then you're off to the races. So I get the camera set up, I get on the bike, and I go out and I do some recording with the mic directly in front of my face, a dead cat over top of a foam pad, and lo and behold, the audio sounds fantastic. And I have been running that setup ever since. Now I've since transitioned away from the Hero 8, and I'm now using a Hero 10 with a media mod, and also use a max lens mod. And yes, I do keep the little muff over top of the shotgun mic, even though I don't use it, and there's a chance that it could blow off, and if it rains it will get wet. But you know, I just think it looks cool with it on there, so I leave it on there, and I haven't had it fly off, so I'm not too concerned about losing the pad. So these days I've got my HJC F70 helmet with a Sherwoo mic, or not a mic, a camera mount, which allows me to take the mount off to the side on the jawline. Again, there's venting issues here on the F70, so I needed to wrap around, and it puts the GoPro right in front. A couple of other notable things is I was getting tired of my wire kind of dangling around and getting hung up on things, so I took the chin curtain that comes with the helmet, I put it in place, and then I actually took some black thread and I sewed this wire to the chin curtain to try to keep everything in place. So now the camera goes on as GoPros normally do, and everything's kind of neat and tidy. I've got a camera directly in front of my chin with the wire kind of managed somewhat because it's sewn to the chin curtain. I'm using the wire management system inside the helmet for the HJC system. I do have a Cena these days, which means that I had to pull the microphone out of the dedicated mic spot for the communicator and move it over slightly. But otherwise, I think the audio system that I have, or the quality of audio that I'm getting out of a traditional motovlog can mostly be accounted to dumb luck. Early on, I got a helmet that seemed to work well for me. It's relatively quiet. It had features that made wire management a little easier. And then there were some trials and tribulations with different cameras, but these days I'm using a setup that I'm really fond of. I was watching a video the other day, Chopper Fett. During one of Chopper Fett's videos, he had mentioned that it was hot, and out of a courtesy for his viewers, he was closing all of his vents to try to keep the wind noise down. It's worth noting that if you're watching a motovlog from me and it is not in the dead of winter where it is really cold, all of my vents are open. So I think the quality of recording that I'm getting with this setup, even with my vents open, is pretty impressive. Or at least I think it's better than average. In the winter, when I have to close up my vents to try to stay warm, I think it sounds even better. But as you can see from being in this sweatshop of a motorcycle shed, I tend to sweat, so I do not like leaving my vents closed unless I absolutely have to keep warm. So that's my setup. If you've got any questions, head on down in the comment section and let me know. I'll try to get them answered for you. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe for more content just like this. As always, ride safe, and I will catch you in the next one.